welcome. So excited to see everyone. We are live for Tatango Live. So let's get started. I'm Karen Budell, CMO of Tatango, and I'll be your host and MC for today's event. We have 5 incredible sessions lined up, and today you're going to be hearing from CS leaders at Waystar, Extreme Networks, Higher Logic, the Success League, ESG, and of course, Totango. So first up, I'm excited to share how we see this next evolution of customer success evolving over the next few years. And I'm pleased to kick this off in a keynote today in partnership with our Tatango CEO, Alistair Rennie, who you'll be hearing from shortly. About a month ago, there was a viral LinkedIn post from a CEO expressing her frustration with the renewal process for a certain SaaS product. The company had used the product for years, spending thousands of dollars, yet each year, her team had no regular business engagement with the company, no proactive success or health planning, and no consistent point of contact. I know we've all been there before, right? But compare that to the meeting that I had with one of our partners, Meltwater, a month ago. They proactively reached out to me to share a new dashboard that they built for me, and they made sure that I knew where to find resources after that call. Then a couple of weeks later, this email hit my inbox. They shared gratitude. I was their customer. They reminded me of great new features, and they offered me a very timely incentive to renew early in the midst of budget planning season. 2 very different scenarios. And I don't think the outcome is lost on any of us. If a customer churns, you've not only lost out on current and future revenues, but the cost of acquiring new customers to make up for that loss is expensive. And trust me, as a marketer, I know the cost of acquisition, and I have the receipts to prove it. Yet funnily enough, and I see this conversation happening a lot in my CMO peer set and community, many of us are still focused on acquisition versus retention. And our budget mix and our board requests lean heavily in that direction, even though we know that at least 80% of revenue is coming from that customer base. So let's put this into context of the times that we're living in today, because we went from a period of growth at all costs to let's still drive growth, but do it with constraints. So now we're asking ourselves, how do we do more with less? How do we do things differently, but with the same resources? What's the new role of customer success in this climate? And here's a hot take. Does CS even matter? How do we prove the value of CS? And we're doing all this in a climate where the buyer's journey and the sales process have become a gauntlet. Competition is fierce. And we've got almost 2/3 of the buyer's journey done digitally before you engage with a human. That buying committee has gotten incredibly complex. We're talking about 6 to 10 people from different functions coming to the table. And let's not forget, isn't everyone's CFO scrutinizing all their purchases lately? ROI, it is non-negotiable. Value realization is key. And while we all want to run to the finish line and check that Slack channel win wire for a new sale, we know that sales to CS handoff is one of the hottest topics facing our industry. The thing is, the sale isn't the finish line. It's the beginning of a process to retain our customers. And we know customers stay because they get results. And when they get results, they buy more. And when customers stay and they buy more from you, NRR goes up. Now that's when you get the attention of the C-suite and the board. So here we are 13+ years in, and customer success may still be working its way towards a universally understood and shared definition, but we all know where it started. At one time, CS was known as the customer happiness department, the support team, the customer service organization. In today's landscape, CS is more than a job title or an org function. It's what we all do across the enterprise to get customers to their business goals. In turn, driving revenue growth for our own companies. And the good news is there is so much momentum in the market right now for CS, a big spotlight on customer success. I feel it, I see it, and I'm sure you do too. Because more and more business leaders are talking about sales and CS. More business leaders know that retention and expansion, continuously delivering customer value and getting your customers to results, is the unlock to predictable growth. Only CS has the longitudinal connection with customers to understand and nurture what they want to achieve over time. Only CS has the 360 vantage point to know where customers are engaging with our products and where they're struggling. And stay tuned, because you'll hear more about how Tatango is expanding our own integration and partner ecosystem to help you with this when we share some exciting announcements in a few moments. And only CS has the technology and the customer data to feed product, sales, and marketing teams with the integrated insights we need to drive the enterprise forward. So take the reins, because right now, at this moment, CS, more than any other function, is best positioned to steer us through the storm and be the leader of business growth. We are here effectively stepping into the next generation of CS. And personally, I've never been more excited to be in the customer success industry. And as a marketer, I can't tell you how awesome it is to see the spotlight shine on this critical player in the go-to-market squad. So, what does this next generation of CS look like? Well, first, CS has to lead with business growth. You have to speak the language of the C-suite and the board and focus on securing retention and driving expansion. Second, CS teams have to be positioned to start each customer engagement with their desired business results in mind. So we have to know our customers' goals and the outcome they want to achieve so we know how to get them there. Third, we need to use product adoption and feedback to drive advocacy. Product engagement is the most powerful tool we have to push education and innovation, and those engaged product users lead us to that expansion. And last, CS has to lean into integration. We have to make CS and CS software central to the enterprise stack in order to surface and better act on customer insights. And it's not possible if CS doesn't integrate with our functional partners and their systems and data. So if we do this, if we focus on these four things, the next generation of customer success will be defined as the key growth driver for the enterprise. So let's break it down really quick. To prove that CS works, CS has to orient like the rest of the C-suite around business growth and bottom line impact. We know from the stories I shared earlier, in today's market, business growth means preventing churn. There's not another team in the enterprise that can deliver the insights and actions to drive retention better than customer success. So we partnered with ChurnRx CEO Greg Danes to dig into their extensive data from a collection of B2B SaaS companies and found that the nuance is companies that focus on retention tend to have poor retention, but companies that focus on expansion get retention for free. Plainly said, customers who expand their account value at any point are more likely to renew down the road. And as Greg Danes has said to us, completely eliminating churn is not realistic, nor is it necessary. The only way to completely eliminate churn would be to stop selling altogether. And I don't know about you, but I don't think any of us are prepared to do that. So driving retention starts with making sure that CS incentives are aligned to the things that drive retention. That means customer results, not rescues, which brings us to the next point. You have to start each engagement with customer results in mind. After that very first conversation with prospective customers, we should know what our customers are trying to achieve. What's their goal? What is their North Star metric? Now, we cannot expect that clean handoff between sales and CS if we aren't all able to rally around the same objective. So align on it during the sales process. Reaffirm it on day one as a customer. Revisit it regularly throughout the customer lifecycle. And then if your customer's business needs change, their goal shifts, reset it and pivot with them. When we clearly identify those customer objectives, then we know what to track. And when we track that desired outcome, we drive retention. Customers that achieve measurable results stay 6 times longer than those that don't track measurable results. So whether your product can actually track the specific business metrics or not, it can track proxy metrics or those leading indicators about your product and your services that you know are influencing your customers' North Star. And then, whatever it is, make sure you measure it and measure it with consistency. Because as ChurnRx data and Greg Dane's analyses show, measuring some kind of goal or desired outcome is always better than measuring nothing at all. Third, we need to use product adoption and customer feedback to drive advocacy and innovation. Customer life is 5.9 times higher for those that submit support tickets. I know, let's let that sink in for a minute. In fact, one ChurnRx study showed that customers who submitted at least one support case during onboarding had half the first-year churn and higher overall lifespan compared to customers who did not. So none of us in our respective businesses are here simply for license utilization, right? We want product engagement. We want that feedback. And we want those insights that lead to accelerated product advancement. So if service tickets are piling up, we should see that as a spotlight highlighting the pain points for the product team to solve. And utilization, product telemetry, and feature requests are a goldmine for engagement insights that can inform training and enablement resources and innovation. Lastly, in order for this next generation of CS to cement its role as the leader for enterprise growth, CS as a function and a software category has to lean into integration, arm in arm with cross-functional allies. CS is the biggest source of customer data, but that data has to play well with other sources of data and tools that are used across our business processes and functions. If your CS technology is feeding those insights into other parts of the enterprise, providing that much needed connection between sales and CS, product and marketing, that makes the case for why customer success has to be an open and integrated partner and system. In fact, customers that integrate your product with at least one other product stay 2 times as long as customers that don't integrate. So enterprises should want each function to be able to use their best-in-class tools to serve their respective needs. But at the same time, we want each function to take action with that shared source of customer truth, meaning software, data integration, tech alignment, and partnerships will support a new wave of enterprise growth. So ask yourself, are you able to seamlessly feed customer best practices into your training and enablement content and at scale? How quickly are you putting customer insights into community content and programming? Is marketing able to understand what your best customers are doing and how to find more of them? Have you acted on product feedback by making improvements and innovations that align to customer goals? And can sales use 360-degree customer data to proactively identify and close expansion, cross-sell, and upsell opportunities? So now that we know where we need to go, the outcome we want for ourselves as we define what customer success looks like for the road ahead, let's recap how we get there. Number 1, lead with business growth. Identify and pull the levers to drive expansion instead of rescue. Start with customer results in mind. Identify and track customer goals and their desired outcomes from the beginning, and use that as a unifying direction around which to rally your cross-functional partners. Number 3, Use adoption and feedback to drive advocacy. Flip the script on customer engagement and tickets, and use that data and insight to fuel scalable and self-serve resources that will promote retention and referrals. And fourth, lean into enterprise integration. Make it as open as possible to invite our cross-functional peers, their data, and their tools to work together from a single source of truth for driving customer success. So with this in mind, I'm pleased to turn it over to our CEO, Alistair Rennie, to share how Tatango is already building for this defining chapter of CS.
Thanks, Karen. What an awesome introduction at such an important time as CS really becomes, I think, the driver for growth. It becomes fundamentally clear to everybody that growth is going to be increasingly a function of everything that happens after the booking. And that's where I think CS can really shine and become an expansion. It can become the fuel for the growth that everybody's seeking. It's also, why we believe CS leaders, the people on this phone, are going to need software capability and customer success software that they can't outgrow. And we're pretty excited about some of the things we're going to announce today to help make sure that people have the tools they need to pay off on, the excellent advice that you just gave. So we've seen the evolution of the next generation of CS taking shape for the past few years. And we strongly believe that the foundation of a growth-driving customer success platform is going to be its ability to connect and to integrate with the customer data that you have and make it available across your entire organization. At the same time, enabling those function-specific systems and tools to really get a supercharged benefit from the integrated data and all of the insights that are being delivered and understood and put into context in a customer success system. Said another way, we believe the capabilities of CS system are really critical for the CS team, but the data, the insights, the workflows, the intimacy with your customers, the signals you're getting are really, really critical fuel for the entire organization. And that kind of a CS platform is going to be one that is a driver of growth for the entire organization. So today we've got some very exciting new announcements, and let me start with announcing 2 partnerships and follow that up with 9 new technology integrations. I'm really excited about these. So first, very excited that ESG Services, ESG Success, and Higher Logic are going to join Jasper AI as Tatango partners. And we're going to work with them to help build out that software platform you can't outgrow for the next generation of CS. So let me talk about these 2 amazing partners. ESG Success is a customer success as a service provider. They're amazing. Many of you know them. They're well known in the industry, unbelievable people and unbelievable expertise. And they're going to work even more closely with us now to support Tatango customers in both their CS transformations, the change management, and if needed, act as an extension of their CS team and product experts in Tatango. So welcome Team ESG Success. We are thrilled to be working even more closely with you. The second partnership we're announcing is with Higher Logic. Many of you know Higher Logic in the CS community, and we have developed with Higher Logic something that we call the Drive Community Engagement Customer Success Block. So essentially, we've taken our notion of pre-built software packages that combine best practices out of the box content to create the ability to build and run communities combined with Tatango and Higher Logic's community platform. We are thrilled about this. And now we have the ability to, as we know, building community around customer journeys is a really critical function. And we can now do this seamlessly between Tatango and Higher Logic with our new partnership. We are thrilled and very, very happy to be working more closely with the Higher Logic team for our joint customers. Now, I also mentioned some more news. Karen was really clear that leaning into enterprise integration, that is making sure all the capability of a CS platform can work across the entire organization and fuel growth. And we're really turbocharging our already impressive set of integrations today with 9 new announcements. So let me go through these in a way that you can hear all these names. Product analytics platforms. We all know that understanding how people are using our platforms, our capabilities, understanding where they are in their journey, looking for places where they may struggle, understanding places where we have opportunity to deliver more value is critical. So today we're announcing integrations with both Pendo and Mixpanel, leaders in the platform analytics space for product. Next, increasingly we are seeing customers, look to next generation data warehouse solutions to store customer data, to run analytics, to provide a place for integration. So we're proud today to be announcing a new integration with Databricks, an amazing solution, and I think something that's going to help a lot of enterprise transformations in the CS space. Next, we all know that CS is a team sport, and having it well integrated with the common collaboration tools we use every day is critical. So today we're announcing extended integrations into this space with integrations into Gmail, Google Calendar, and Outlook Calendar. So exciting ways to make the CS capability we all care about easy to use across the entire enterprise. We've talked about revenue intelligence and the need to integrate and work well with our sales processes and be able to understand and share signals between the CS and sales teams. So today we're announcing integrations with two of the leading revenue intelligence platforms, Gong and Chorus, and the ability to bring all the insights they bring from customer conversations, including summaries, and have them work in a bidirectional way with the information in a CS system, really creating that one view of a customer for the whole organization. And then lastly, an integration with Zendesk Sunshine Conversations, the omni-channel communication solution inside Zendesk. This is particularly exciting because we believe it's going to be important to take the outreach that you want to deliver to customers, whether it be campaigns or touch points, and increasingly go beyond the traditional mechanisms and put those messages and those conversations into the places where customers are. And the ability to extend our campaign capability out into the Sunshine Communications capability, essentially the customer chat features of Zendesk, we think is a great example of how CS now works out into all the different places over time where customers are. So 9 new integrations joining our already significant set of capability, we think really making it easy to lean into the integration and enterprise integration that Karen talked about to deliver growth. So to go a little bit more deeper on this, I'm really happy to introduce my colleague, Ravit Danino, who's our SVP of Product. And Ravit is going to take you through a little bit more about our roadmap update. Ravit, over to you.
Thank you, Alistair. And thanks, Karen and Alistair, for setting the stage so nicely on the importance of integration and how critical is it to make sure that all your data resides in one place. So Totango enable you today, which I believe most of you are already familiar with, the ability to improve product adoption, increase usage, increase customer visibility throughout the customer journey lifecycle, and the ability to drill down to what's going on in every part of your customer success journey. The foundation of our customer success system is basically the integration, the data that flows in from your tech stack. Those may be solutions like product adoption that Alistair and Karen referred before, CRM systems, help desk solution, product telemetrics solution. All of them fly into the open platform of Tatango in order to enable you to have one place with a very clear 360 view that enable you to drive visibility and spot on specific engagement throughout your customer journey. Our vision is that Tatango will serve as an ecosystem platform with all the data from the enterprise tech stack leading into your customer journey and being able to identify specific engagement points throughout your journey. Our vision is to create an ecosystem of partners and integrations to enable you to deliver on superior customer engagement and visibility across the customer journey to provide visibility for you, your teams, and your C-suite in your organizations. As both Karen and Alistair mentioned before, today we are announcing 9 new integrations and 2 partners that I'm very happy to focus on. And that's part of our leaning into integration. Let's drill down to see a bit what each integration means in order to understand the value of it. So starting with product adoption, we are announcing today an integration both with Mixpanel and Pendo. in order to deliver and to get more product adoption data within Tatango. This data will be enabling you to see it within Tatango scorecard, Tatango segments, Tatango reports, obviously to use it as part of the health formula you have in Tatango, and being able, most importantly, to trigger specific events throughout the customer journey, leveraging data that came both from Mixpanel and Pando, if you are using those in as your product analytics solutions. Moving forward from product analytics to data warehouse. So we already have today two very strong integration with data warehouse solution, Redshift and Snowflake. But I'm very happy to announce that today we are expanding that. And we are enabling you also to bring data from Databricks to Tatango. This will enable you to store in Tatango all the data that you have for your visibility, analyzing additional data that you have in your solutions in order to make sure that you get visibility, and all the metrics in Tatango enable you to get visibility on data you collect in Databricks as well. Keep in mind that the nice thing about it is that this will enable you to save a lot of money in operational cost of those solutions once you'll have this automatic integration running in place. We talked about customer interaction. So reducing the amount of manual work you have in order to drive customer interaction and to make sure customer interaction are tracked into Tatango is very important. And as Alistair mentioned before, we are announcing today integration with Gmail, with Outlook Calendar, and with Outlook Server in order to make sure that customer interactions will be tracked in Tatango. None of those will be missed, and all of them will serve in order to make sure that you can get a full visibility to the data that you interact and to the people you're interacting with within Tatango. Moving forward from communication and scheduling solution to the next integration we just announced, and taking it to the next step with the integration with Gong and Chorus. So it's not only that your CSM no longer has to track their meetings and to manually add this data to Tatango. We are taking that one step forward and enabling you to track any communication with your customer with new touch point that will be created according to Gong or Chorus meeting that you have in your organization when you are using Revenue Intelligence platform. And not only that, you'll have the data that the meeting happened and with whom did you meet, but we are also enabling you to bring the meeting summary into Tatango. And by that, enabling a cross-value interaction between all the people that interacting with your customers. That's where we see customer success. And as Karen talked before, we do see the interaction with customers, not when the sale happened, but throughout the journey after the sales happen. And this type of interactions and this type of tracking mechanism will enable you to get the data into Tatango. Moving forward to another integration, which I'm very, very excited to share. Communication with your customers is a very important thing. Earlier this year, we announced a new communication channel from Totango using a new solution that Totango has delivered, Totango in-application solution that enable you to interact with customer using Totango in-app in their application. But now we are expanding that, and we are enabling you to use Totango campaigns, not only to send emails to your customers, but also to create campaigns to communicate directly using chat to Zendesk Sunshine solution that will enable you to interact and chat with your customers, again, not via email, but they're on your end solution. This type of communication will enable you to reach more customers when they are interacting with the product, which makes it more valuable, which makes the whole interaction much better for the customer. Other than that, around communication with the customer, I'm very, very happy to announce that today we are also launching our integration with Jasper Artificial Intelligence solution. You can see a demo on the screen when I'm creating a campaign in Totango. And as part of creating the content for this campaign, once I'll click compose, and you will see it in the demo in a minute, the data will go to Jasper solution, and every Totango customer can use that. Jasper will help your users, the people that are writing campaigns, to create a smarter campaign with, most importantly, brand voice and the customer color in place when you're creating it. So now you can see that the Totango campaign was created. Very easily, I can add another text message here. I want to add the footer for that campaign. Again, I'm going to leverage Jasper Artificial Intelligence services in order to create that. I'll just ask for the system to create a footer thanking my customer on being a loyal customer. And again, once I click compose, it will go automatically to Jasper, leveraging the customer branding. More importantly, this is not only in Tatango campaign. Now you can leverage that also as part of Tatango Touchpoint. So for those of you who are using Touchpoint, not only to register an interaction with the customer, if you are doing it in order to leverage a solution to send emails directly from Tatango to the customer, which is a very helpful capability, you can see that I'm, again, telling the Tatango AI, leveraging the solution of Jasper, to reach out to the customer and ask him to help and provide additional information on the company. Once I'm clicking compose, automatically leveraging Jasper solution, it composes a message, and you can see here that I can actually ask the system to create a bulleted messages, and I'm getting it. Automatically, I can go right now, click the ad, and send it as an email to the customer. See how much time I actually was able to save leveraging the interaction with Jasper Artificial Intelligence. That capability will be available also in Task. So just to recap what I just said, it will be available in Tatango campaigns, it will be available in Tatango Touchpoint, and lastly, as part of Tatango Task. So you will be able to leverage all of that beautiful integration with Jasper Artificial Intelligence. So we talked a lot on a lot of data and many new integration that will enable you to bring the data from your enterprise tech stack to Tatango in order to create one 360 view of your customers, enabling you to drive the customer journey in a more efficient and smarter way with all the information that you will bring to Tatango. And all of that is to deliver on our vision for an open platform and a wide amount of integration that will enable you to bring the data. But platform and the data is one part of the journey. If I'm looking on the whole stack of Tatango enable you to drive specific parts of your journey using SuccessBlock. SuccessBlock are templates that design around the customer outcome to enable you to drive adoption, onboarding, grow your customer interaction, all of it using out-of-the-box SuccessBlock that we are delivering. SuccessBlock can be linear SuccessBlock, starting from onboarding of the customer till expansion or retention, as well as SuccessBlock that drive for specific interactions with the customer, like QBR or grow your reference program. If I'm taking a deeper look on SuccessBlock, Tatango deliver more than 20 SuccessBlock out of the box. Each one of them address specific part of the customer journey. And I'm very happy to announce that today, in addition to all those SuccessBlock that exist already, as Alistair shared before, we announced a new SuccessBlock that was created in a partnership between Tatango and Higher Logic to enable you to drive not only your one-on-one communication with your customers, but one-to-many community communications with your customer. This SuccessBlock was created in an alignment between Tatango and Higher Logic, who deliver one of the most wide capabilities around community that is out there. Leveraging this integration will enable you not only to monitor community engagement, but also to be able to drive customers throughout their community engagement, being able to interact with customers when they're sharing data in your community. You can engage with them, you can celebrate specific activities and specific announcement with them, and you can track their interaction throughout the platform. This success block is ready in one click. If you go to Totango Marketplace, you can just with one click bring the success block and leverage the capabilities that Higher Logic enable you together with Totango capabilities to drive a wider engagement around community. So using all those success block is very easy. As I mentioned before, it's one click from Totango Marketplace that will enable you to bring the data to your Totango instance. But there are cases where customers would like to start the engagement and to create mechanism around customer success. When that's the case, as Alistair shared before, there are customer success companies that are out there to help you engage and create your customer success solutions. We are very happy today to announce the integration with ESG Success. ESG Success will enable you to take Totango and drive your customers from landing the customer to a very successful implementation of Totango and drive and transform your customer success organization. Many companies would like to scale up, scale down their customer success organization. ESG Success will be able to help you achieve that. ESG Success will help you to take every success block and implement that and monitor the usage of it in order to enable very successful implementation of your customer success organization. With that, I would like to hand it back to Karen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ravit. Super pumped about our new partners, ESG and Higher Logic. Welcome. So thrilled to be working with you more closely. And we'll be sharing more on those 9 incredible integrations in the follow-up as well. So let's continue on this topic of leveraging integration to drive cross-functional collaboration. I am thrilled to welcome Madhavi Baswada, VP of Client Success at Waystar, to the stage. I know cross-functional alignment and transparency is something that she and her team are making significant strides on. So welcome, Madhavi.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. It's incredibly joined by so many CS leaders. And is it okay, Karen? Should I jump into my background?
Jump right in. I only wish that we had a roaring fire between us so we could make this like a nice fireside chat and cozy up. It's fall time. So tell everyone more about your background and a little bit about Waystar.
Absolutely. Well, I would love that as well. And it would be great to have a fireside with us and some hot chocolate as we transition into fall. But again, I'm thrilled to be here and just joined by so many great leaders. Kind of jumping into my background, I've been in the healthcare space for about 15 years. I started off in the consulting space and then went to the provider side. That was really important to me before I jumped into the CS world. It happened about 9 years ago when a former colleague of mine reached out and asked if I wanted to join Waystar to help build a CS team. You know, at the time it was called account management. And I know we use that kind of interchangeably, but I was coming from the provider side. And this is so important to me because at the time I said, you know, I've worked with a lot of vendors and I don't want to go to that side. I really want to go to a space where I'm building partnerships, where I'm focused on a consultative approach that's rooted in driving results for our clients. And that's exactly what we've been focused on in our CS organization at Waystar for almost a decade. And it's been such an evolving and iterative journey.
That's incredible. I mean, you picked up on it, right? We've talked about it this morning. It's about results, driving results for your clients and customers. So let's get into that a little bit because Waystar has been embracing an incredible amount of growth, both organically and through acquisitions recently. And I can only imagine that that's really changed the dynamics within your organization and especially for your leadership team. You know, when we were preparing a few weeks ago, Madhavi, you mentioned what you call a culture of listen and learn. I love that. I don't think we listen enough these days, but you and your C-suite partners, your peers have been really embracing that. So can you tell everyone, what is the listen and learn practice all about? And how has that been a positive attribute as you support the company through this level of growth?
Yeah, no, that's it's been listen and learn has been on my mind really since the beginning of the year, and just a little bit about growth and why the shift in moving to a listen and learn culture has been so critical. And when I started almost 8 or 9 years ago, we were about 10 people, and now we're at 75 through that organic and acquisition growth. It's just meant that, for our clients, it's meant that we're offering all of these solutions, coming from a single technology space into probably 20 plus offerings. It's meant a lot for our clients. It's meant a lot for the CSMs, meaning that they've got to be knowledgeable across all of that space. But what it means for CS and insights is really shifting how we listen and learn from our clients to drive both satisfaction, retention, and growth. I mean, I think across the CS space, all of us as leaders have high expectations on the value we deliver through an elevated client experience and demonstrable ROI. I think that shift is really rooted in our growth and at Waystar, more importantly, in our mission and our purpose to improve the financial health of our clients. So the practice of listen and learn is really simple in nature, but it's really intentional in practice. So rather than gleaning actionable insights from siloed or single sources, our focus in 2023 has been gathering insights derived directly from our clients, from areas that all of us, are really familiar with, things like NPS, surveys through support and post-implementation. We do something called product insights, which is direct feedback from our clients that we feed back to our product team. Just like Totango, we've got our advisory board, we've got our user group conference, our CSMs are constantly doing business reviews. And so it's really taking those insights from our client, directly from our clients, as well as indirectly through some of our third-party research. But what it means really tactically is taking these insights, and what we've done is group them into relevant segments. That could be different for every organization, but for us, it's market segment, it's product family. We've then aggregated that into dashboards that are accessible across the organization. They're accessible to marketing, product, operations, and sales. And then we're taking these themes and we're presenting them tactically, again, to these areas. The goal is that we're taking those insights and they're proactive. There's something we can do proactively around them, and then we can build proactive or cross-collaborative nurture strategies. For example, next week, we're presenting to our product team. An example is that there are some specific features that we're hearing from a segment of our clients that they'd like to see in our analytics tool. And then based on that feedback, if we believe that that's the right investment as an organization to put that on the roadmap, we know that it will improve satisfaction based on the feedback we've gotten from our clients. And we believe it will ensure retention and create valuable feature functionality from a growth perspective as well. So it's tactically listening, but then how do you take those insights, share them with all of your partner organizations, and then build a nurture strategy around that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%, right? You can't just uncover the insight and sit on it. You have to create that visibility. I love that you're sharing those dashboards and results cross-functionally. That is the key to taking action on it. So listen and learn. Maybe that third part you can consider for 2024 is listen, learn, and act.
Exactly.
So maybe we could double down a little bit on that and how you are working across the C-suite, really collaborating specifically within that triad of your peers in product, marketing, and sales. So I'd love to know a little bit more about, what are you doing to strengthen those partnerships with your peers? Maybe what have you seen work really well? What could you do better? I mean, a lot of us are in that 2024 goal planning season right now. It's in full swing. So I'm sure everyone is all ears for any pro tips that you have to share with us.
Yeah, I love that question, Karen. And as when we were prepping last week, I had literally just gotten off the phone with product marketing to talk about how we can align better for 2024, and with some of our sales leader around, areas where maybe our collaboration has dropped off and we can continue to put some practices in place. But, the longer I've been in client success, the more it's really kind of been impactful for me to understand that for our clients to be satisfied and to grow with us, that this alignment is critical, right? A practice that we put into place, and I think you've talked a lot about retention strategies early on and why that's so important for growth, but a practice that we put in place with our C-suite is a quarterly, it's actually every other month and sometimes quarterly, a meeting with our CEO and all of the executives that's focused entirely around retention. I do believe that retention is really the root of both satisfaction and growth, right? You can't have either one of them unless you're retaining our clients. So we've put that in place. And when we started that operating rigor, it actually highlighted to me a gap, because I think a lot of us, I'm sitting there presenting, gosh, the reason this client's leaving is because this functionality is missing, or there's a price factor here. And so, each functional area is kind of like maybe coming from a place that's not proactive and really a bit more defensive. And it really highlighted that rigor really highlighted that. So today, all of our partners, those triad you're talking about, are active participants in building those retention strategies. So we're presenting that from a CS lens, but really in the benefit of the entire organization. And those conversations can be so difficult, but what we found is that as we approach it as what I'll call a team sport, it's been a real driver in tighter alignment for us, and has certainly kind of continued to keep us at a great retention rate as well as drive growth.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, Alistair said it earlier, CS is a team sport. I love to hear how well you're working with your peers, and you touched on it, right? The retention and growth. Now we're talking those corporate outcomes and KPIs that we're all tasked with and looking to drive. So just wondering if you could share a little bit more about how understanding and measuring customer business outcomes for Waystar has really changed the way that you've continued to grow and expand both the number and type of clients that you're supporting.
Yeah, there's a couple things I'll touch on. I think when we talk about measurement, I think oftentimes we compare our clients to some of the industry best practices and use that as a benchmark for our clients. I think the challenge with that is that it may not be the most important metric or KPI to our clients. So this is an alignment with growth for our organization, but really for our clients as well, is that we shifted to more of an outcome-based KPI tracking. So meaning we're baselining the client's performance during the sales and scoping process. So early on, we're then aligning those baselines during the implementation process, measuring performance early on through the implementation process, through weekly dashboards, through weekly meetings to go through those performance metrics against their baseline so that it's outcome driven versus just kind of industry standards. Sure, we want to get there, but we've only been live for 3 months, right? How are we performing and delivering a ROI for them? So that outcome tracking from getting the baseline has been critical. And in fact, we actually maintain those baselines in our Tatango instance. And then I think continuing to talk about alignment. So we take that measurement from the implementation phase, and that's transitioned into CS. So we found that measurement through the CS journey has been critical, because we started day 1, day 60, day 90, 2 years, we're still measuring against the baseline of performance. And we found that that's actually helped during the help with sales as well, because we're delivering on expectations that were defined early on. And that has helped with our team and the sales team in partnership being able to kind of drive upsells and cross sells as well. I think the other piece that's around, your part around growth and how we've kind of shifted maybe a little bit on coverage. We've grown a lot, and I think most about coverage and staffing, especially during high growth times. It's been an iterative process. A couple of years ago, we had heard that our clients wanted a single point of contact, and so we sourced or we staffed according to that. And ultimately we found as we grew is that we had to take more of a team approach. We had to have experts in different areas of our product set that could speak to our clients knowledgeably, so they built a level of trust and partnership. And then we also built specialized teams. So we built an internal consulting team, we built an internal insights team. And so that team-based approach, similar to retention, also from a staffing and coverage perspective, is really some of the ways that we've had to shift.
Well, I love some of the things that you touched on, starting early with sales. It sounds like some really nice, clean handoffs throughout that customer journey, because you're aligning really early on the goals that your clients are trying to achieve, and make sure you're working to get them there. So that's incredible. Good tips for everyone listening. You kind of touched on some interesting stuff too, as we talk about the next generation of customer success, what that means for roles. And we're just a couple minutes away from the spicy hot takes panel. We'll have some folks coming on to talk about the spiciest topics in CS. So Madhavi, let's close this out with a rapid fire response, right? Given all the shifts in the market, changing expectations, what skills do you think are most important for this next generation of CS? And which skills do you think are not going to be needed as we move forward?
I think it's twofold. I know it's a hot take. I think it's our CS team members who are certainly, always rooted in satisfaction. That's true for sure. But how are they thinking about identifying where there's risk, turning that around into a positive experience for our clients, and then being able to align with sales for growth? Because we are in a high growth environment, and we have to keep our clients satisfied. But I think being able to show that we are committed to our clients' experience and journey, and then being able to parlay that into growth, I think is key.
Wonderful. Well, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today, Madhavi. It's great to see you as always. And I know there's a lot of CS leaders on the line that can learn so much from what you shared today and what you and your teammates have accomplished at Waystar. So we'll keep watching that great growth, and wish you the best. Thanks for joining us. Well, love that we were able to wrap up with Madhavi's hot take on how that role of CS might be evolving moving forward. It's a great tee up for our session that's coming up. But before we get there, I'm incredibly excited to share with you some great insights from Allie Irvin, head of CS at Extreme Networks. She was incredibly kind to record what she wanted to share in advance. So this will dive into some great topics around how to drive impact with a scaled CS perspective. Is it one size fits all? Allie's perspective is no. So I'm going to turn it over to her to share more about how they've been thinking through this at Extreme Networks.
Hi, everyone. I am thrilled to be joining Tatango Live today. I'm Allie Irvin, and I'm the head of customer success at Extreme Networks. And I'm going to share a few tips for driving impact with a scaled customer success perspective. We started building our customer success team just about 2 years ago, so pretty recently. And we have 2 levels of customer success engagements today, and both are built on this scaled customer success framework. I'm really excited to join Tatango today to share a little bit about what we have learned over the last 2 years in building, deploying, and constantly making tweaks to our customer success engagement, and considering how we are driving business impact with the customer success model that is designed and delivered at scale. So before we get into that, I do want to start by quickly just defining what I think of as scaled customer success is, just so we all are on the same page about what we're talking about, and we have a clear picture about what scaled customer success is, because it is a relatively new discipline, and it can mean different things to different people. So first and foremost, I think the most important thing is that scaled customer success is not all or nothing. So like I mentioned, at Extreme Networks, we have 2 different engagement levels, vastly different engagement levels, but both use the scaled customer success design principles. So you can pick and choose elements of a scaled customer success model and apply them to even the most high touch customer success engagements to get some of those benefits that you get from scale. Secondly, when I think about a scaled customer success engagement model, I think about a data-driven approach. To me, you have to have some level of a data-driven elements to scale, because you're not relying on individuals anymore entirely to decide exactly what the next best action is. You really need your data to tell you what is the next step for the customer, what's going on with the customer. Not to say again that it's exclusively data-driven, but that's, I think, a component of a scaled customer success engagement. And finally, and I think this is probably the most illustrative point, is a scaled customer success model, by definition, is going to use a one-to-many approach. And that can be a couple of different things. I think it can be delivered through automation. So maybe that's customer touch points that you've automated, experiences that you're delivering in your product through automation. Maybe adoption content is delivered there. Maybe you've got some email campaigns that are triggered by customers meeting a milestone. Just any automation. I also think that this could mean one-to-many customer experiences, like webinars or self-serve training platforms, as opposed to one-to-one, customer and customer success representative training sessions that we've all done in the past and participated in. I think that those elements, those one-to-many, are really define a scaled customer success approach. And again, you can pick and choose what you're going to include in your engagement to get some flavor of scaled customer success. So if we have a good picture about what scaled customer success looks like, I thought about how we use this approach to drive business impact at Extreme Networks, and maybe some learnings I could share. And I thought about three things that I think highlight what we have done and what we have learned over the last 2 years. First is thinking about how we have built a multidisciplinary customer success team. Secondly, thinking about how we have found how to work with the right cross-functional partners. Third, I think how we have demonstrated success, and how we think about demonstrating success is another learning of how we have driven impact with a scaled CS team. So I'm going to go through each of these three and talk a little bit more about what they mean to me and how I think they can help you drive impact with scale. So you really need to have the right team in place first to drive impact using a scaled CS approach. And for us, that has meant first considering what roles we have on our team, and really considering new roles that we had not necessarily designed or used in the past. And I think investing in roles like this really gives you a lot more room to scale, because these are new roles or new hires on your team, but they're going to give you more reach. And you're not just thinking about, I've definitely have hired in the past, and we've all probably thought about this, of one customer success representative to X number of customers. And you may still have some element of that, of course. We probably all do, but also adding these new roles will let you stretch that a bit. And these roles are things like system administrators, journey mappers, so people who are responsible for defining your journey and the milestones that are delivered along the way. And then project managers and program managers to really think about what that journey is and make sure you have capabilities built for everything you want to deliver. In addition to these new roles, we've also looked for different skills and what skills we need on the team that might be different than what we've hired for in the past. I think traditionally, I have looked for problem solving, people who are very customer focused and customer oriented, experts in the product, utility players, people who are great at enablement, great at relationship building. And all those skills are still important, but there are new skills that we're looking for too. So we're looking for people who understand data, people who are critical thinkers. And the reason for that is because our scaled approach is, like I mentioned earlier, it's data-driven. I want my team members to really understand and be part of that and designing that journey. Also, always looking for agility, because scaled customer success is a pretty new discipline. It has really just emerged and will continue to change and evolve over the next few years as we get more research, more best practices, got revolutionary technology like AI. This discipline is going to continue to change. So we want a team that is flexible and that is, excited about change coming around the corner. We also think about, when we are thinking about looking for these skills, we might be hiring for them, but we might also be looking for how we enhance the skill set on our team. So one of the things we have begun to do on our team is to build a skill and development plan library. So we think about those critical skills for our team, and we think about how we can help individuals develop those skills. And we go ahead and pre-build that skill set library so that when we know we need to beef up a skill, or we have someone on our team who wants to explore a new skill, we sort of got some recommendations ready for them to go to explore and to enhance their skills in that area and build those strengths. Lastly, designing for the future. So I talked about agility being an important strength for the individual contributors on the team and your leaders. It's also a condition to look for as you're thinking about building your team. So being a little bit more flexible with how exactly you're hiring and you're building and staffing your team, introducing new capabilities that you can repurpose for as you introduce new products or new customer segments or new levels of engagement. One example that we've done here is assigned experts on our team to particular capabilities. So parts of our journey have an expert on our team assigned to them. Like we have an expert on our renewals outreach, and they help us grow that area as our needs change. And that has really helped us deliver business impact. The second lesson that we have learned in how we have driven impact at Extreme Networks with our scaled customer success team is all about working cross-functionally. It is so important, as we all know, to find those cross-functional partners that are going to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish and drive the right outcomes for your customers. So, first finding those champions who understand what you're trying to do and will help you move it forward. I think we're all familiar with this. But one thing we have learned is that we have really thought beyond our traditional partners in this. So we've always partnered and worked really closely with sales and with product, but in scaled customer success, I think we have worked more closely with new partners than we had in the past. So IT, really important for a data-driven approach. Marketing has been a new partner for us because scaled customer success and digital marketing, customer marketing, there's a lot of overlap there. How do you partner together to make sure that you are delivering a consistent message, that you have a unified communication strategy to your customers? And the channel, of course, if you, like us, have a sales channel, think about how you're working with them. And are they delivering your customer success engagement at scale, or are you? What do they need to know to deliver customer success? So these are all ways that we have expanded how we're thinking about our cross-functional partners. And lastly, a lesson that we have learned is getting involved as much as possible in product design and launch and go-to-market efforts as early as possible, and really cannot be early enough. When we think about, building, designing, delivering a data-driven customer journey, that requires that our systems all talk to each other really well. We really need to understand early what data we need, for example, to inform a health score, or deliver the right collateral to the customer at the right time, or alert us of, potential issue or a customer's readiness to buy. All of that takes time, understanding that, asking those questions of the product, and then connecting the system. So one thing we have learned is the earlier we can get involved in this process and really being part of that new product introduction process, the better. Finally, the third lesson that we have learned in deriving impact with scaled customer success is thinking about how we demonstrate success. And I have two ideas about this, two thoughts to share. First is think about the KPIs that you're measuring and think about, what additional KPIs you might want to report on, or, what KPIs might not even be relevant anymore with a scaled customer success approach. We're probably all reporting on or holding ourselves accountable to, NRR, ARR, maybe CSAT, renewal rate, customer lifetime value. All of these are important and definitely still important and still relevant. But we have also looked at new measures of our success, like engagement. has been a new KPI for us. So we look down to the campaign level. Who is reading our emails? How many customers are opening this email and clicking on a link? How many of our customers are attending our webinars, our events? Those engagement metrics are kind of newly important to our customer success team at scale. And product usage is another KPI that matters a lot to us. When we're working at scale, we don't necessarily have that close, intimate customer relationship one-to-one, but we want the customer to feel that. And we also want to understand what is happening with our customers, what they're doing. Are they adopting our products the way we want them to? So we're looking at more telemetry, more product features, and not just relying on conversations that we're having with customers. And secondly, because you are working at scale, your customer success reps, similarly to how the relationship with the customer might have changed in the day-to-day a little bit, you might also have different relationships with your internal stakeholders too. So previously, we worked really closely with our sales partners, product partners, and really, communicated new capabilities or new initiatives that way. But because now we're working with so many customers, those communication channels maybe have changed a little bit. So we think about how we had to scale our internal communication too, to let the rest of our team know what we were doing, what we were working on. So we have thought about, introducing a communications calendar and plan to promote awareness internally of your initiatives and your wins, because it's really important to share not just your KPIs, but what you're doing, what's around the corner, because again, this scaled customer success discipline is new, and it's important to share your success with the rest of your team. So to recap, when we're thinking about how we have driven impact with our scaled customer success team, we reflect over the last 2 years and we think about, developing that multidisciplinary team and the right skills. We think about how we have learned how to connect with the right stakeholders and get involved early in the product design and go-to-market process, and also thinking about how we share our success and what that success looks like for our team. I hope this was interesting and helpful. I hope you'll choose to maybe try some of these ideas as you implement some scaled customer success practices of your own. So thank you so much for being here.
And a huge thank you to Allie for taking time out of her busy schedule to record that. Sorry not to have you live with us today, but
everyone.
thank you to everyone who has tuned in from all around the world. I have loved being your host for Tatango Live, our first virtual event. Thank you for joining us. But now it's the session you've all been waiting for. If you've seen any of my spicy hot takes, hot sipping promos on LinkedIn, I have been waiting for our very own Chris Dishman, SVP of Customer Success at Tatango, to host us on this hot takes roundtable. So Chris, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Thanks, everybody. All right, this is going to be a great session. I'm going to start. We're just going to jump right in. I'm going to start by introducing 3 fantastic panelists. So first of all, we're going to start with Peter Armale. So Peter is the VP of Customer Success at our new partner, ESG. He's got over a couple of decades of experience in sales and marketing and product and CS as a service. And he's an avid researcher, co-author of some training studies, and is also a top influencer in customer success. So Peter, welcome to the Hot Takes panel. We're going to jump over to Kristen Hare. So Kristen founded the Success League in 2015. She currently serves as the company's CEO. She's got, again, a couple of decades worth of experience in customer success and sales and marketing. And she works with a lot of growth stage tech companies, and she's published hundreds of articles, many of which I have read on CS, and she hosts the Innovations and Leadership podcast on the Success League Radio. So Kristen, welcome to the panel.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And then last, certainly not least, we have Erica Jolly Brooks. Erica is the CMO at Higher Logic, also one of our new partners. She's got about 20 plus years of experience in B2B and B2SMB and B2C business and she really kind of focuses on that scaled growth model. She's got previous marketing and leadership positions from, Springbot and Oracle Social Cloud and Virtue and Earthlink, Mindspring, Rackspace. So a ton of experience. So Erica, welcome to the panel.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to jump right in. And the deal here is I'm just going to ask a question. I'm going to start, Peter, with you, and then we'll kind of chime in and go from there. So one of the things we've talked about and we've heard as we've discussed this whole next generation of CS is cross-company alignment. It's interesting. I even saw a thread on Gain, Grow, Retain today. There's been a lot of discussion around where there's friction across different groups and departments. So as we think about ourselves as CS leaders, here's the hot question, like who is your friend in the C-suite and who's maybe a relationship that you need to kind of be working on or improving? So Peter, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's probably for me the same thing. So I think it's the individual in the C-suite that you need to be best friends with for CS, and probably should have been working at this 15 years ago as the CFO. If we had been working on a close relationship with the CFO 15 years ago, customer success would look a lot different now. We'd be in a lot different position in the marketplace. We'd be a lot more secure. We'd probably be way more challenged around producing evidence and proof and justification, all those wonderful things that real business people do. And I think that's the challenge customer success is faced with right now. And so that's why I say, I think CS leaders should really be focusing on really getting close to the CFO, even though it might be difficult. Make it work there, and it'll really pay dividends for you.
Yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Erica, so I see you smiling over there. I know you're coming from a slightly different group yourself, so kind of give us your take on this one.
Well, because I'm in marketing, I think already I'm friends with everyone in the C-suite because that's just the disposition of a marketer. And I do agree with being able to speak CFO. I think it's a critical path from a CMO's perspective. But one of the relationships that I'm consistently keen on maintaining and developing and getting better is actually with the chief customer officer. I mean, I remember one of my role at Vitru when I was CMO there, just prior to us getting acquired by Oracle, that the head of our customer success organization was like, when I was onboarding said, I don't really know that we're going to be spending that much time together. And I was like, oh, we are definitely going to be spending a lot of time together. So to me, ultimately, I'm a believer that your brand and how people talk about your brand it can be all the marketing in the world. You can have a wonderful campaign, but it's also about product. It's about the delivery of the customer experience. So I think it's one of the more critical path relationships, and it's only increased in its importance that the CMO and the chief customer officer are working together to sort of think through what is that brand experience? What's that customer experience? Because that's what really translates into the market.
Yeah, boy, absolutely. It's been something that it's been a lot of fun that as I've worked with Karen and with Dennis here, the whole go-to-market, sales, marketing, and CS alignment is so critical. And then, Peter, as you said, we fold in, your CFO in that process as well. And then you make sure that you've got the right data analytics and reporting around that. You've got a winning team. So I guess it kind of takes all of us, to kind of work through that for sure. But great stuff. All right. So we're going to jump on to our next hot take question. Kristen, I'm going to go ahead and start with you on this one. So we talk a little bit about journey mapping. That's kind of the entry point for customer success. A lot of people think of it as kind of the framework of how we work with our customers. So the hot take question is, and if we want to kind of challenge the idea of a journey map potentially as being mandatory, do you feel or do you believe that a full customer journey map or mapping exercise is worth all of the effort? And is it important, that we as leaders, take the time to work through that exercise, as it relates to supporting our customers?
I do. I mean, you probably knew I'd say that, but here's why. There is a lot of technology that you could use that you could automate some of that effort with. However, because as you just mentioned, working cross-functionally is so critical. It's really important that that's a cross-functional effort across the organization. And it's important that it is mapped out because first, if you create a journey that that's mapped out to sort of the optimal for a particular segment, then you know that the journey matches the customer's expectations that you've set for them in that segment. It's prescriptive, and anybody except for maybe an early stage startup should be prescriptive at this stage. What do you want that journey to look like? What does the customer want that journey to look like? It helps you plan how you're going to deliver it, because delivery is cross-functional. You need to have multiple groups involved, and if you don't plan that out, you're going to be all over the place. And people, as good-natured as they are, will be stepping on each other's toes, and that's no fun. It also needs to be value and outcome based, like Karen said at the very beginning of this. I think that's absolutely critical, and you need to plan that out. I think the other major reason that this should be planned out is that it helps you align the cost of delivery with the revenue that's coming in. And, as much as we maybe don't love to focus on revenue and customer success, we absolutely need to. And there's a cost side of how you run a business. And if you don't know how many staff you need, and you don't know the tools and technology you need, it's going to be really hard for you to balance the cost with the revenue that's coming in. And so planning a journey, part of it is planning, how are you going to deliver that with people? How are you going to deliver that with tools and technology? And it also helps to highlight where you might have a mismatch between pricing and the cost of delivering your service. So for all of those reasons, I think it's important. That said, I think the future of the customer journey, AI is going to become really important to this. And while I do think that you still should map out your journey, I think what AI can enable you to do is create customized branches off of that journey, so that if there is a risk or there is an opportunity, you can create really bespoke solutions for each customer. So I'm really excited. I've seen people in CS doing AI around building sets of questions to ask customers, and building mutual success goals using AI, and building responses to objections. So I think there's so much cool stuff you can do.
Yeah, boy, I couldn't agree more. And the things that you called out, it's interesting because it does create a level of consistency when you think about how you're working with your customer, and efficiency too, which Peter, as we have our new friend, our CFO, they're going to be super excited that we're more efficient and taking control of our costs. So Peter, I know you guys at ESG, I've been working with your team and Sheik and everybody over there on some of the things around journey mapping exercises and stuff like that you guys do as well. So do you have any additional input on this one?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I agree with everything Kristen said. She and I have had lots of conversations over the years about journey mapping, and I actually think of her as like the real specialist in our community around that. We do that, of course, too, at ESG. We have a really good practice, and we believe it is foundational in customer success. And moreover, I think it's a transformation. It has transformational power, the customer journey mapping exercise. And I say that because I've been through so many of them. I've seen the light bulbs that go off on, say, day 2 of the participants who maybe approach the exercise a little bit cynically, maybe a little bit half-heartedly. By day 2, they're like all in. And it's amazing when you have the right stakeholders in the room, you actually finally realize customer centricity can be a real thing at a company, because we pay a lot of lip service to it, but silos are the antithesis of customer centricity. And the customer journey mapping exercises attacks that structure. And that's why I love it. I just love the transformational power of it. And I think if people took it seriously, we could actually make movement here in that direction to really become truly customer centric.
That's awesome. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Peter. All right. So we're going to jump into our last hot take question. This one is going to be around community. So Erica, we're going to start with you on this. And this is interesting. At our last customer advisory board that we had earlier this year, we started talking about community just because we were discussing scaled and scaled CS. And that's, the next thing you talk about when you're talking about scale is community. And then the question came up, who is responsible for community? And then even as we kind of dug further into that, it's like, okay, well, who owns it within the organization? And I would say even almost more importantly, what are the metrics of success that you look at for a community? So give me your thoughts on those questions.
Well, so my first hot take on this is that your customers already have a community. They're already a community. You just need to give it a place. So for everybody who doesn't think that there is a community of their customers that exist, there is one. It's just happening in a place that you aren't seeing it and you're not part of the dialogue and you're not necessarily deriving any benefit from it. So that's the first hot take I have on that question. The second thing I'd say, the ownership one, it goes back to what Kristen and Peter are talking about. And it's one that I feel really strongly about. You know, it's a false construct to say, oh, okay, marketing owns it or CS owns it, customer experience owns it. At the end of the day, I think you need to start with what your goal is. You know, what is your goal when setting up a community? And then start to think about how you can, it is a cross-functional construct. There's just no doubt about it. And how can you assign tasks related to the community to where it's alike to or akin to someone's job responsibility. And I think you really, again, you got to start with what your end goal is in mind. And you don't need to solve all of this with a community. You can start with, I want to solve this, you know, and it could be something like office hours or something to that effect. And then build on that to add other programs to it over time. Obviously, the sort of wherewithal, the big dream for community is that, to your point about metrics, is it really can solve a top line set of metrics around NRR, you know, and then underneath that, you can talk about retention and renewals and what that renewal rate is. But then there's a whole other level of, you know, metrics that you could talk about, which include things like product ideation, you know, support deflection, identification of your advocates. And we all know how important advocates are in terms of growing our business, which then goes back to NRR. And then I think there's another set of metrics underneath there, which I think we have the tendency to get a little bit, you know, we can get a little bit overly concerned about, which is just like, oh, what are my community metrics? And yes, the person who is just like the person who's doing email marketing on my team needs to be thinking about what those email marketing metrics are. What's the delivery rate? What's the open rate? What's the click-through rate? Your community manager should be thinking through things like, what's the size of my community? Am I adding new community members? What's the engagement rate? But, you know, at the executive level, you do have to recall or remember deep down inside that there's a 99 and 1 metric there, which is 90% of people are going to be lurkers, but they're going to derive benefit from your community. About 9% of people are going to be, you know, your contributors. And then there's the 1% that are your champions. That at the end of the day doesn't mean you're not going to solve that NRR metric at the very top of the pyramid. It's just sort of how really truly social and community has generally worked over time. So that's just a few thoughts on it. I'm sure Peter and Kristen have other thoughts.
Yeah, Peter, Kristen, you guys got anything else to add to that one?
What I've
go ahead,
seen.
Kristen.
Oh, go ahead, Peter.
No, you go.
Okay, I was just going to say, you know, I think the thing to making it work is just getting those advocates and making sure they have an incentive to be on there and talking, because that seems to really make or break the community, is having those folks be there. And so I think, you know, I've seen people do clever and creative things to motivate people to get on there and use that as their space. And I think that considering that as you're setting up your community is important.
Yeah, I was going to say similarly, advocates, champions, but I would go a little bit further and say, like the true ones, I don't think they need like badges and stuff. I think they just need acknowledgement that they are experts and that their information is valuable and being shared appropriately.
I think
awesome.
some of them like badges, though.
Yeah.
I like badges.
You got to have something to put on LinkedIn, right? Perfect.
Yes.
All right. So here we go. We're going to jump in. We got a couple of minutes left and we're going to jump to our rapid fire questions. I got a couple of hot ones. So I'm just going to ask each of you a single question and then we're going to wrap things up. So my first question is a pretty hot topic. And the rule is you got to answer it in just a couple of words so you don't get to go into a long explanation, which makes this tricky. So the first question, this kind of came up on a YouTube video or a podcast that I saw recently. Are CSMs by today's standard practice or definition lazy? So Kristen, I'm going to give you that hot topic question.
Gosh. No, they're not lazy. They're busy. They may not be as effective as they should be, but they're definitely not lazy.
Right.
Awesome. Agree 100%. All right. So Peter, I'm going to give this one to you. What tasks should CSMs dump from their to-do list today?
Escalation management.
Ooh, that's a good one. All right. And Eric, I'm going to give you this next one. Are QBRs or business reviews helpful for customers?
Yes and no. I believe that QBRs should be reimagined. And if anybody hasn't seen Rachel Orson, just if you guys don't know, our Chief Customer Officer at Success Smart Recruiter, she just did a whole thing on reimagining QBRs.
Yeah, Yeah, it having a value-based review is kind of where it's at right now, and you can't. The old QBR of spouting numbers is just, it's dead, and nobody's interested in it. So, very good. All right, we are basically at time. So thank you, panelists. I really appreciate you guys. And it's just been a great conversation. So I appreciate your time and involvement here. And with that, I get to close this out. So first of all, thank you. That puts a wrap on Tatango Live 2023. So thank you all for coming. We especially want to give a big thank you to our partners, Higher Logic and ESG. So thank you guys. And we also just want to thank our panelists and our speakers that joined us. If you'd like to learn more about Tatango, head over to tatango.com. You can sign up for our 14-day free trial or request a demo from one of our experts. But thank you again for your time, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your week.